What's good, boys? Welcome back to the Kingslayer Podcast, Episode 2. It's me and Devin, and we're just going to be talking about some random ass shit. How's your week been, dog?
Shit. It's been pretty good doing this construction. It's a lot more work than I thought it was, you know?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, some people work harder than others. Like, you got some people that do more of the technical, but whenever you starting out, you're going to be busting your ass. That's for sure.
Right. Nah, dude, like I feel like I've grown so much as a person since like I was a teenager because if I was a teenager doing this job now, I would have been like, "Nah, I'm good
You would
on
have
it,
been
bro.
like,
I'm
fuck
good."
y'all, dog. Y'all can go fuck yourself. Just like talking
Right.
shit to 'em. But,
Just
you
learning a
get,
bunch
you,
of patience this week. Just, you know?
you gain a lot of respect for different things, and I don't know, construction, it's like everything. There's monotonous days, but for me, now that I'm more hands-on with like the building and stuff, there's definitely times where I just enter like a flow state. And I'm just like cutting,
Right.
I'm looking, I just measure it one fucking time. Like in the beginning, I'd measure things like 3 times, forget the measurement, have to go back, redo it, re-measure it on the saw, readjust my angle, fuck up the angle. And then now, it's just kind of like, jump to this task done, this task done. And it's a lot
Right.
more. It's real rewarding, but you definitely got to go through that fucking process. That's what builds your
Ye-
build. One builds your character, and two it builds just like your fucking skills. But
Yeah, no, I
I wanted to ask you, do you
excuse me.
do you feel like you've been do you feel like you've been learning what you want to learn through it, or do you think that you've been just kind of stuck?
So like at first, my first perspective on it was that just like I was just gonna be picking up people's trash and I'm just gonna be like the gopher, just running back and forth.
Yeah.
But then I started understanding that like I just gotta like learn from like I have to like just I can't you can't ask Zane's dad, you can't ask him
Yeah.
to work and stuff like
You
that
got to
like
start from the bottom, and some of the see the thing about it is it all comes down to like who your mentor and that shit is. Some of them they don't think about it. They're just thinking about getting the job done. They don't even think about like, all right, I got to teach this person so then I have a better person. That some of them I believe they even try to like
right
not teach you on purpose. They're like, all right, I got me a trash boy now. I'm gonna keep this motherfucker. Like I feel like some of that is an aspect, but for me, like 8 months ago, whenever I found my guy, I was like, damn, I gotta go back into construction. This shit's gonna be ass. And it just flipped my whole perspective just by the guy who I'm learning from. So that shit
yeah,
definitely will
because
help.
you're like learning a lot more.
Well, he's adamant. Like he don't with Zane's dad that he didn't even fucking say thank you, bro. Like the basic things of respect he didn't even do. But my boss is like the first day I'm there, he's like, can you grab me this? Thank you. And then he's like, hey, let me teach you how to use this saw real quick. And he spends like a whole week just teaching me shit. It's a totally different experience, but you learn enough where it's like you learn the value of hard work. You learn how to deal with
Right.
like bullshit and people being in a shitty mood, but definitely
Right.
rewarding.
Hey, I just want to apologize for my camera difficulties out there. I'm like moving the thing around trying to find a good angle on it.
Yeah,
We
shit,
building the desk, okay? We building the desk.
you got that action cam, boy.
Desk coming in. Yeah, for real. Boom, 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 boom.
But the construction thing, the only thing that I can really my takeaway from it all that it taught me was speed and action, and that's two things that go into like every single aspect of you want to get this job done, you got to do it fast. If you want to get paid and then go to a next job, the more speed you got, the more people you hire on, the more money you're gonna make. And then the
Right.
action is this is like my most valuable skill I learned was like getting up and just taking. I used to be lazy as shit. Like I used to just be like, fuck it, I ain't gonna do that. But you get you like a mentor, and they got flaws and problems. But you get you like someone in the construction that actually makes money. You see how they work. It's like, alright, if something comes to their mind, they get up and do it that fucking instant. They don't really wait. At least that's what I've
Hmm.
observed.
Yeah, it's just kind of like natural instinct at that point.
Well, it's like just like the drive to get to the job site and immediately start working. Like if you're working at like say a fast food job or like a little popcorn job that don't really matter. There ain't no like motivation to just like, all right, get the fucking shit set up, let's get done quick. The motivation on the job site is like, you don't get this shit done and get what you need done early, you're gonna be out here in the sun, boy. You gotta get. So you got that little bit of that pep in your steps.
Yep. I totally see what you mean, like, because I feel like that's just something that I wasn't used to when I started, and now it's helping me like actually strengthen my character in an aspect.
Oh,
Like,
have you noticed like, I'll say, I often get in like a flow state while I'm working. Have you noticed that at all yet while you've been doing it?
yeah, yeah, for sure. If like I already know what I'm supposed to be doing, and they tell me what to do, like I'm pretty much
You
good
just
about
get
just
pretty
doing it.
focused on that shit. Like in the beginning, it's kind of like you disconnect and you just like fucking go through the motions. But eventually you get to the point where you start taking pride in it and doing it right. I mean, some people don't ever get there, but I feel like you definitely probably get that sometimes. Or you wouldn't be, you
Yeah, no,
wouldn't still be doing it.
oh, I mean, like, no, totally what you said. Like, it's just about your attitude and how you choose to look at it. Because you could always, like, this is for anybody out there for anything. Because we're talking about, you know, uh, sorry, I'm having a hard time because of my setup in here. Fuck. Um,
This man
See,
gonna
I'm
have to
on my
hold the
bed right
webcam.
now, bro.
You're gonna have to hold the
I'm on
webcam.
my bed right now. Like, hold on. This is what we gonna do. We gonna put this right here. How does that look right here? Does that look
Yeah,
fine?
that looks good. It's fine.
Looks good enough. It is good enough.
Shit, as long
What
as
were
the
we talking about
microphone
though?
working,
Sorry.
the words be flowing.
Right.
No, we were talking about the
You're.
flow state and construction, and you
Oh
wouldn't
yeah,
be
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
spinning your wheels without it.
Right. Like, it feels like you're more involved with the process rather than just being a cog in the system
Mm-hmm. Well,
with
to
construction. Like with it.
to expand upon that a little bit, going into like desires and things. My first desire when I thought about what I want to do for a while, because I'm probably not going to be doing in the same situation forever, is it wasn't the first thing I thought was, oh man, I want to be like a contractor. I want to like be using a fucking hammer like Bob the Builder or something. That wasn't like my first thought. I used to like play with computers and
Right.
computer games and shit. But eventually, you start to, I feel like some aspect of like things that put you in the flow state almost go towards what you should be doing with purpose and stuff like that. What your true purpose is, in my opinion, are things that put you in the flow state. For me, it'd probably be like art, talking. Like for a while, I thought my purpose was like helping people in videos, but I realized that just like the act of talking puts me in this flow state where I don't have any excess thoughts in my mind or anything like that. And same with construction, the thoughts just kind of poof, and one idea, one action is what's there.
Right.
So I feel like,
That's a good way. That's a good way to look at that too.
and going off of it not being like my true desire in the beginning, I feel like a lot of people's desires they stumble upon, almost, I guess you could call it luck or whatnot. But a lot of people they choose already made desires by people. But for me, I've just kind of stumbled upon these, kind of like the way I see it. Someone that I really think of like that has ultimate purpose would be someone like Michael Jordan. Absolutely loved his craft. There's not any denying that he was in the flow state, or he wouldn't have been as good as he was. But he kind of had to like stumble upon that. Like whenever he's a little kid, someone had to like throw him a basketball or him see a basketball or something. He didn't like have this internal just thing that comes in his brain is like, I don't know what basketball is, but I need to go find it and play it. Does that make any sense?
Nah, bro, because that does make sense. I can see exactly what you're saying, bro. Like I have a very it's what's crazy is actually have a very like I can see a lot of the like stuff inside my mind when I'm thinking about it. Like
Hmm.
you know, like when you can imagine something, like when we're talking, I can just see that the whole thing. So it just
Yeah, it wasn't
it's
like
like
that motherfucker
a
was like laying
movie.
in his bed like daydreaming like, damn, Doug, I don't know what a basketball is, but I need to find that shit.
Like,
It
hey,
just,
bro, like it's just like a fucking basketball is ingrained into their mind.
yeah. It's just like you just outside one day and they're like, "Come on, Michael, come play ball." But I mean, that's just kind of how it. I definitely still have objections to it. Like there's days where I'm just like, "Fuck, I do not want to go and do this shit," and part of me is like, "Well, I guess it can't be my purpose then." But I mean, right now I just got to use what's in front of me.
Right. That's just how. That's just you can't like. I feel like for me, that's I've been on the same level like with desires and all those things that we were talking about. But desires specifically, um, you can also there's two sides of the spectrum. You know, you can desire things that can ultimately like throw you in the wrong direction,
Yeah, like
and then
negative.
you yeah you can have negative desires that lead you down dark paths if you're not paying attention to what you actually desire within like a lot of people like to desire materialistic things like it's been ingrained in us to desire these materialistic things instead of searching or desiring the feeling of accomplishing new things and actually like accomplishing things inside yourself instead of like just working to buy another car. Some
Well,
people
see,
like
a lot
they
of
just
those.
like they want to
The crazy thing about
go
those
ahead.
desires is you would see desires like lust or some levels of greed or addictions. Those desires, people automatically view those as negative as a collective. We all are like, all right, if you're gonna go out and just like fuck a bunch of hoes, that's kind of seen as a negative. Some people see it as a positive. If you're gonna just like sit there and do drugs all fucking day, they see that as a negative. But right now, there's like this whole hustle culture where there's like productive desires that aren't even theirs. Like just like with the fucking basketball, you're not dreaming in your bed like, goddamn boy, I can't. Like 2 years old, goddamn that fucking Lamborghini, dog. Unless you saw a picture of the Lamborghini, and then whenever you get older, it's not even because of like the picture of the Lamborghini and you thought it was cool, so you put the picture. It's like, damn that dog, he has a fucking Lamborghini, and he has that ability to do that in this world. So what makes me not be able to do that? And then you start having these desires that weren't even originally yours. They didn't originally come from your brain. They're just from somebody else. And I don't know, that was like the biggest thing that I've struggled with for the longest time, and I still tend to struggle with a lot, is this like overwork. I feel like you can even have a desire in like overworking. I feel that's a big one.
Yeah.
Like you see the contradiction of art. We instantly call this like fat, overeating, like slobbish person someone who just like eats fucking. They're like 400 pounds. We're like, all right, that's a negative. We can automatically assume that. But to me, that's almost equal as like the millionaire who wants to fucking put a bullet in his brain. He's sitting up in his penthouse and he's just like, dog, I got everything I want, but there's fucking no purpose to this life. To me, that's the same thing. Overindulgence in two different extremes.
Yeah, I mean, you could. There's like you can be too low and then you can be way too high. You know, like people they're not right there in the middle where they should be. They're either vibrating too low or too high, and like they just get to a point where either they're too sad and depressed and they like take it out on themselves, or they get to a point where they've they got all this money that they desired and all these other things that they desired, but they don't have anything like that whole experience. They weren't actually evolving their character. They're just
It's just empty.
yeah, it's
And
just empty, bro. Basically.
I feel like the only way to combat that is to constantly scrutinize the desires that come in your head. At least that's what I do. Like, an example of a desire that I had last week. I'm cutting right now. I never had no abs, right?
Right.
Multiple times during my fitness journey, or whatever fucking buzzword I'm gonna say, I've had thoughts where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get the abs this time, and then I see some influencer who's like fucking 20-inch biceps. Come on, goddammit, eat. You gotta eat more. That's like fucking piano shit, and I'm just like, bruh, I'm weak. And then I'm like, I gotta bulk now. And I changed up my whole prerogative. I changed the fucking direction up completely. And most recently, this is like the most strict I've ever been with the cut. Like I'm packing a lunch every single day. There ain't a single day where I've not weighed my food out in like 2 months. And I'm at the point now. I've seen progress. The last time I was this low body fat, I was 150 pounds, and it was in September of 21. And then I went through that whole period of ups and downs, and I'm back down now where I'm 170, but I'm that same like structure. I have the same body fat. I guess I put on more muscle since then. It makes sense. But I saw that Sam Sulek guy, and I don't even agree with what he says. Like half the time I find him just like funny, but it makes some sort of connections in my brain where I'm just like, I know all the different contradictions. Like he's on steroids, he's got genetics that I don't have and shit. But something in my brain tells me it's just like, come on, dude, you want to bulk up? You want to bulk up and get big like that? And then I'm just like, no, I don't. I don't give a fuck. I have to like scrutinize that desire to snap myself out of it. And I finally have learned that, put that tool in my toolbox. And I see so many people that they struggle with that still.
Right. Bro, it's just like that's just such a crazy way to put it. How you like you put that into perspective for me as well. Like I've had times where like it's like I can relate to you with the working out and stuff like that. Like I was anorexic as a kid. Like I like middle school anorexic, you know. I wasn't eating nothing. I was just kind of too skinny.
David Lay
So
Jr.
I started. Yeah, exactly, bro. Way too. But I mean, bro, hey, props to that dude for real. But that was the first. I think that was like the first guy I started watching on YouTube was David Lade. I was like, oh yeah, that motherfucker. You know, he got the same like slender genetics, and he. Yeah, exactly. I was like, hold up. All right, I'm gonna start doing some David Lade type stuff and just work out like he did. And then it got to the point of like I was not I wasn't I didn't get like I got sucked out of like it being a self-improvement thing, and then just like started evolving into something like
a comparison.
Like wanting. Yeah, exactly. Like I started like just comparing myself to not just him but like all these other influencers. There wasn't that many around whenever like we first started doing this. There wasn't as nearly as like when we first started working out and stuff.
I swear to God, it's
bro.
Like whenever I lived down there, even in like a small town like fucking San Marcos, which is like college town, I'd see people like at least 3 people a day with fucking cameras in that bitch. I remember I was sitting in there. This is a funny ass story, bro. I'm sitting there doing curls, bicep curls. I only got like fucking 30-pound dumbbells, and I'm doing this shit. I'm thinking like, hey dog, I'm swole. I'm pretty swole. These like fucking German, Austrian, like just like straight. I guess that you'd use the word like a Chad, bro. These motherfuckers came in looking like Ivan Drago, bro. I swear to God, I ain't never like I was looking, bro. They had like the influencer clothes. All of them had like 3 hoes with them, everything, the whole shebang, and like the fucking Sony cameras, and I'm just like, bro, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? I'm just sitting here, bro. No shit. They're walking around touring the gym, and I'm just doing my thing. I'm looking, I'm like, these motherfuckers just like big bro'd me, like 2 feet away from me, no space. I gotta do this shit, dog. These motherfuckers like no space are just like fucking doing like the fucking most muscular and like side chest right on my ass, bro. I'm just like, bro, y'all are hoeing, dog. And I remember I went home, and I'm just like, I can't even take my fucking camera in the gym to make my videos. I feel weird with my camera in the gym and these motherfuckers. And then, the craziest shit. 2 weeks from that moment, I saw a 400-pound dude without a shirt on recording himself. Just like, no, like, you know how you get that like little anxiety in the gym. Like, you think you're like, alright, if I recorded in here, I'd feel cringe. This motherfucker just like 300 pounds, like, right? What's up, boys? What's good, boys? The whole thing, just like outgoing and shit. He's like, we out here grinding, and just like out loud, everyone can hear him in the gym. And I'm sitting there next to him, same spot, same fucking chair, in front of the mirrors. And I look over at him, and I keep telling myself, you need to ask this motherfucker what's good. I was making them like little movie reviews on TikTok at the time. Oh son,
yeah,
Don came in and movie review, and I'm like, how the fuck? How do you? I make this shit too. How do you sit in here and just like not give a fuck? And he's just like, oh, I think he said something like, I want it that bad. And I remember, No, I'm a piece of shit, bro. Instead of being like, hey, dog, good for you. I went over and I was like, that fat motherfucker can do it, and I can't. Fuck that fat motherfucker. I'm gonna beat that fat motherfucker to this shit, bro. I swear to God, like my mom was fucked up at that time. I was on my alcoholic shit, living in my car
Oh
doing
my
DoorDash, and I was just like pissed off. I was like, I can't even get over 50 views on my Minute Mover reviews, and this motherfucker over here with 1,000 followers on TikTok. That shit pissed me off. It still makes me mad. Fuck that. Hey, he quit. He quit. This is how much of a pocket watcher I am, bro. He quit like 6 months ago. I'm there and going, bro. Fuck that motherfucker. But no. We up.
Hey, you know, sometimes certain things drive us to do things, man. Like that's just how. You know, sometimes there's certain things that just you kind of you deal with for a while that kind of like develops your character, does certain things when you're not in this, like you can, like a lot of things can affect your personal growth, like in a manner if you don't like understand certain things, you know, like if I feel like we're both starting to like, I've noticed the maturity since we were teenagers, like we've grown a lot since we were teenagers, and we've actually been able to put together these like these things in our mind and like what we're actually doing every day instead of like just going through the motions and doing whatever we've actually.
We're definitely more mature, but I still have like some of them impulses like that. I wouldn't. That's like the first time I've ever spoke about that, and it's like I had that thought. I snapped myself out of it, and I was like, "Come on,
right,
dog. Come on," which I guess that's a sign of maturity. But I still have them little bit of like, hey, I'm big dog tendencies. I have them big dog tendencies.
Hey, you know what? That's fair. That's fair.
I guess big dog tendencies is like I'll just say like ego. That's better. I still have that ego.
Hey, so yeah, that I mean, we cannot exist without ego. You know, we have to respect all of ourselves, and I have those urges too, like those like mental urges where it's like I can't specifically put on the spot right now, but I can relate to you on that manner with the, you know, you still got the like, nah, fuck you, like in the back of your head.
I swear,
you know,
that's what like drives most of our desires. Like whenever I think about that shit, there's a car show that I was just at, and I'm gonna be going to later on with a friend. It's in the middle of town. They got like the fucking 57 Chevrolets, like the GTOs, big ass 69 like Chargers or Challengers and shit. It's like these like beautiful classic cars and like $100,000 cars all the way around this like an old school courthouse in this small town that I'm in. It's live, and I like them. They look cool, but like I swear maybe it's just like the way I'm built or something. But it's like I don't even give a fuck about the materialism. Like I do not care about the car. I've tried to kill my ego enough where the materialism ain't there that much. Like I'll put it in perspective. I traded my uncle a pistol. I'll go back to my point on the cars, but this will make more sense. I traded my uncle this .45 pistol that I had. It's like a Kimber. It's pretty expensive for this AR that I got. And this shit is crazy. He's had it sitting out on the table, and I'm not materialistic. I don't give a fuck who he sells it to, so I think. I don't give a fuck. Just chill, he can have it on the table and sell it. I got this fucking nice-ass custom AR, Vortex scope on this bitch. And then, yesterday, he has these, like, 2 parents of this, like, kid that goes to A&M. Real privileged kid. And he's like, I'm gonna be a mortician. I'm gonna be, like, one of them real outgoing motherfuckers who just, like, brags to old people. And he be trying to, like, come up to me and, like, big bro me, and I'm just like, dog, you twig, nigga, twig boy, I could, come on, dog, come on. And then I heard that I heard that my uncle sold them that fucking pistol for like $800, sold it to him for $800, and they were gonna give it to that kid for like he got his gun license, his birthday, some bullshit, and like all this, I didn't give a fuck who he sold it to, and I hear that, and I'm just like, bro. I was thinking about it last night before I went to bed. I stopped myself and I woke up this morning thinking about that. I'm just like, bro, if I see this little motherfucker around town with my pistol, I've shot at fucking animals and at hogs that have tried to attack me. I've had this pistol for 2 years. If I see that motherfucker with my nice ass Kimber that I've had next to my pillow before, I swear to God, And it's like I had to snap myself out of that. I'm just like, hey, you don't give a fuck about the materialism. You're just trying to like, little bro, like it's weird. The ego works. It's weird. I don't know.
It is, bro. It is, bro. Like,
I guess
sorry,
that's
go
the
ahead.
sign of maturity you're talking about, is to be able to like, instead of impulsively act upon it, to you still gonna have it, but to just like catch yourself and be like, dog, come on, we older than that.
Right, right. See, that's you like you got exactly what I meant from that, which was like, just we've we don't act on those bad impulses anymore. There's still like these little impulses in our mind that tell us to do things, but we've gotten to a point where we're able to like be like, nah, that's not the move, you know. That's not gonna help. That's not gonna help me at all. That's not gonna benefit me. It's not gonna elevate me. So
You get to pick well, this is kind of a contradictory, or this is like a different point, but I feel like this statement sounds good. We get to pick. I heard this quote. It said, "We get to pick our regrets in life." I don't know if I mentioned this in the last pod, but it's like the way it works is, all right, I could pick to go to the gym, workout. I'm gonna have a big ass pump. My boy gonna be there. We're gonna try to go for 315. This motherfucker, he's stronger than me, but he gonna go for them reps. He might get stuck in the bottom of that position and shit. And we're gonna have fun. Or I could go, or I could go. And this guy wanted me to go to a fucking carnival, whatever. He wanted me to go to a carnival. Well, my mind says, of course I'm gonna go to the gym. It's way more of a productive task. I could have went to that carnival and met somebody who is like a millionaire, billionaire, fucks with my personality, and we make something crazy. Just a hypothetical. We would automatically assume that would be the positive over that, with the way our brains work. But it's like, I would have picked that, and I would have never known. It would have always been in the back of my head. Well, what would have happened if I went to the carnival? What would have happened if I... So we get to pick, positive or negative, we get to pick our regrets in life. And I don't know, I kind of choose to, like, as my picking of my regrets, I tend to lean more towards being rational than allowing my ego to set in. I never really had too many positive things happen with my ego. Like, shoot myself, that was an egotistical move. I was sitting there with my pistol flipping it in my fucking hand like that, like big dog. I was like, hey, I'm a fucking cowboy. Boom, boy. Oh, shit. It's like, every single time my ego I let that son of a bitch take over, he done fuck me over.
It's crazy how you're putting it. Like, I feel like
I wanna get into psychedelics with you though. And the times I was trying to kill my ego, the times I was trying to murder that motherfucker, and I knew what I was doing, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna send your ass to hell, boy. Like I remember I had done. This was probably, what grade was it? I'll get confused with these grades because I was just so fucked up like every day during this time. But it was just like, I think it had to have been sophomore year. We were in Youngblood's garage, and you know what I'm talking about. I ain't trying to name drop too hard on here, but
wait. Go back for a second. Okay, I'm putting my camera on this side, like my screen on this side, so I can look down like that.
Yeah, you good. Is mine like, you meant like you switched the frames?
Yeah.
No. Okay. I'm sitting there. We're in Tristan's garage, and I'd done acid, like microdose a couple times, and at this time I was smoking weed like every single day in my room, not giving a fuck, just absolute what I'd call degeneracy. And it was like, bro, there was like 15 of us, bro. It was all the motherfuckers that you know, that like that whole friend group of them, and T Youngblood's garage. I'm just going to name drop. Fuck these motherfuckers. And this kid, like Andreas, you know all them? Andreas, Isaac, and all them. Not Caden, but like all them.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
There was like 5 extra people who weren't in my immediate friend group. Like, the people who I was with, I wasn't even, like, I was comfortable with them. The only 2 I was super comfortable with was like Zane and Adam. But like them motherfuckers, I was chill. But it was like, once I start letting that fucking psychedelic mind take place, I'm just like, oh shit. Like, I'm like looking around, I'm like, I can't just like, I'm just like starting to get on edge. But I took this shit. They come in and I see Andres and he was all, I ain't trying to home. He was funny looking to me. And I just like this joyous, this like the most bliss thing I've ever felt in my life. I start laughing hysterically where I can't stop. Like it's just like I'm just like a retard, bro. They're like looking at me. I'm like backed against the wall in the garage, just laughing as hard as I fucking can. And they're just like, bro, what the fuck does it take? What do you take, bro? Like they're looking at each other like that, and I just don't even give a fuck at this point. I'm just like, bro, I'm just laughing, cheesing, boy. Then it gets worse. Tristan starts being an asshole, bro. I find the most comfortable chair. It's got buttons on that. That shit is electric. I'm sitting there on these. I took that shit in a vial of rum. Adam had like this little vial of rum he disintegrated it in. So I took like a tab and a half, and then a tab was in that rum. So it was like 2.5. I swear it was so much more. I'm sitting in this chair. I'm starting to. It's coming up. Roller coaster's getting to the top now. And I always, since I was young, had this problem where my nose would bleed sometimes, like my capillaries or whatever. And I start feeling this drip. It wasn't bleeding, but I'm like, hey, y'all can see if my nose bleeding. Y'all can see if my nose is my nose like I just start going in that loop for a second. I rubbed it till it bled, and they're like, no, it's not bleeding. And they give me a napkin, and I'm like, it is bleeding. It is bleeding. I start freaking out, and then Tristan comes in there and he's like, hey, get out of my chair. Get on. I'm just like, bro, please, please. I'm like, just like straight fucking like, they got me down to like my baseline level right now in my brain. Like I'm just like the little boy now. They got me in the empty white room, and they're just like yelling at me. And I'm just like, bro, please, please. He kicks me out of the chair, bro. I didn't technically have a seizure, but I felt like I had a seizure on that floor. I'm like fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson meme where he's like going through space like that. You know what I'm talking about? That's how I felt, bro. I had a big ass blanket and I'm on a cold concrete floor, and I'm just like, like I felt like they were kicking an autistic kid or something, bro. I'm just like sitting there on the floor like, and then I remember like I start making noise. Like I'm not making noise. This shit is all going on in my head. All these emotions and memories that I have is just shit that was going on in my head. You know how intense that shit be. And I'm just sitting there like, what I describe as a seizure. That's what it felt like, is I'm just like contorting in on myself. And these motherfuckers are just like, all of a sudden I see Adam and Zane. It's like, everything stops. He's like, hey, you okay, bro? I guess I was like making noise at this point. And they're just like, hey, you okay, dog? And I'm just like, I just had like a seizure, bro. I'm just like over explaining this shit. And I just remember from that point on, that was, throughout all the other times I did psychedelics, was like the craziest shit I ever, bro. That shit was unexplainable. I guess that's what an ego death is. I guess. That shit was just like, it felt like I was dying. I guess it was. Like, I just now made that realization that I just thought I had a fucking seizure on the ground.
That was your ego seizing out on the ground. Like,
for real, bro. That motherfucker was like coming out of his shell, and he's like, "Nah, dog, I'm in control." And I was like, "No, I'm in control."
For real. You fucking like separated the two.
That's what it felt like. It was like some fucking Inception, like this crazy shit. And then I remember I didn't.
Hey, bro.
I had like 3 moments like that where I didn't touch that shit for like a year in between. It was so intense.
I mean, it just all depends on how you want to use it, you know. Like, if you want to have like, I feel like for me, for the first couple of times that I did it, it was more like just for like the fun of it, you know. I was like, oh, let me just do it because it's fun. And then I actually I remember doing it one time with Aaron in our room. I think we took like 2 tabs or something, and we were just like expecting like, you know, like another like, you know, just some visuals and shit, like, you know, it's gonna sound cool, the music's gonna sound good, that's just, yeah. But then it got to like where like that, after that moment, because like we were watching Mac Miller's like all his like music and all his videos on YouTube, and we just sat there and watched it for like 12 hours, bro. And we had this like rebirth almost, and I felt like my ego died there once, and then ever since taking psychedelics again, I've gained something new from each experience. So like after you have that first experience, and then you have a few more experiences, it starts to like positively impact you more and more each time. I feel like
It's the
that's what it's
opposite
done
for
for me,
me.
honestly.
Like, have you
Hey,
ever
you can
experienced?
toot.
Have you ever experienced like the feeling when you're on that shit where you just like feel like not that you can't catch your breath, but it's like you don't have no breath. You just like you like suffocating or something like that. It almost feels like the room is closed, bro. These motherfuckers had that shit on that. Like Zane and Adam are some hoes, bro. They had that shit on National Geographic, like the eagles coming down and killing the fucking animals, bro. Like they're like 4K definition eagles. Like the noises were just like, and I'm just like, ah, I'm like, bro, that fuck them motherfuckers for that shit, bro. That was that shit fucked me up so bad. And then
Okay,
like I
that's
saw
not funny, bro. That's really not funny. That's some fucked up
that.
shit.
It is crazy, bro. That shit fucked me up, bro. I remember they'd have to like convince me to take some. Like at that time, I'd done it probably like a handful of times. I thought I was big dog. Back in like fucking what was it, ninth or 10th grade? I was like, oh shit, I'm fucking Mr. LSD, boy. What the fuck are you talking about? I had a 10 strip, boy. I know where to get a 10 strip. You need to quit playing with me, son. And these motherfuckers like, you want to go to the void realm? You want to go to the void realm? Come on, come shop. You want to go to the void realm? And I went to the void realm. I went to the void realm, and I died. I thought I was so into that shit without doing it as much as I should have. I was just like, hey dog, I'm on all these forums. I know what the UGs. I know all that shit. I know how to talk it up. And I was no. I played my cards out, boy. And then after that, the craziest thing is, every time after I would do that, it was always in like a party get fucked up situation. It was like, hey,
Setting
dog,
is a big part of it, bro. Setting
bro,
is a big part of it.
I learned that from my last trip like 8 months ago. But it's like all these other trips, they'd just be like drinking beers and shit. And I remember this one time we did it at Jacob's house. This was like probably like a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, probably 2 years ago. And Jacob's fucking grandpa was there, and they had these sparklers in the yard. And like, you ever seen that movie, that TV show Flapjack, where they're like the wooden boy,
Yeah.
like, bro, I'm sitting there looking at fucking this man Jacob's grandpa out in the backyard like he's fucking the green guy in Flapjack, and I'm just like,
This shit's
and I'm
funny,
just like
bro.
looking down at the sparklers and all these, like his like fucking nose is getting fucking contorting, and it's just like colors and like patterns on him. I'm just like he's just like sitting next to me sober, bro, and I'm just like bro. And then I swear to God, bro, that was, and the worst thing was that environment. Every single time I ever did it at Jacob's house, that shit fucked me up. I did salvia there one time. That was the worst, scariest. You ever read the stories, like on where they're like, I got turned into a backpack. I got turned into a back. Like you, like experience real life shit, like you and me sitting here. Those mental movies, like what you would think a VR headset should be, what you think people explain psychedelics as. That's what that shit. It's evil. It felt evil, bro. I gotta tell that story on the pod because that shit is just too crazy. Me and Zane, I'm at this place where I'm at now, my grandpa's house, 2 hours away from there. And I call Zane up on like one of them like 2 a.m. like whims where I'm just like, hey bro, I just like read about this salvia shit. I didn't even know about this. You heard about this? You can buy this shit online. He's like, what are you talking about? That shit ain't, that's mid. People say that shit's ass. And I was like, look at these videos of these motherfuckers doing salvia and tell me that shit ain't powerful. Just watch the videos. And he's watched them and he's like, I convinced him. And I'm like, hey, you go on this website right now. It's still legal, I think. You just order this shit to a little bag in their house. And I got this like, I got a 20 times and like a 40 times. And it delivered to his house after a month, and I'd already been back down there. And we were like, all right, I'm ready to do this shit. We go over to Jacob's house. It's Jacob, me, and Zane, just all three of us. After a school day, like just in the fucking afternoon, just chilling while we taking bong rips, dog. And I'm just like, all right, let's see what this shit is about. They say this shit only lasts 5 minutes. All right. And we start taking bong rips of it, and it's like we get high, and the room has like little vibrating black lines. That's about all. Like, not really intense, but almost like you put like a matrix filter over you, and it's just like little lines. But very normal, like you're sober-minded. It's just like visual, and you feel a little like nauseous. And we're just like, this is some bullshit. Zane takes like a big hit, falls into a pillow, nothing happens. He comes back and he's like, I tried to see if something would happen. And I'm like, man, this is some pussy shit. I grabbed the bong and it was full to the top. Full to the top. I cherried that bitch. And I was like, I look over at Zane and I just like, all of a sudden, everything went black. And the way time worked was like the craziest shit. I experienced what I experienced before I actually experienced. Like, it's crazy. I have no way to describe it. But, bro, I got executed by, like, Team Rocket. Like, bro, all of a sudden, I go there. There's, like, I see scientists and lab coats through a Project Manhattan window, like, looking at me on a platform in a school bus yard. I can get super descriptive, because as the years went by, I remembered more and more. That's the crazy shit about this, is how I remember this trip. At first, it was blurry, and I was on this thing, and everybody's like a color book. You know, a color book's got the numbers on it, but they're like, what's that fucking TV show, the cartoon, with like little characters, the Robbie Rotten cartoon? What's that shit called? It's Fun Town or something crazy.
Yeah,
Town.
I think it is Fun. I think it is Fun Town.
Something like, you know what I'm talking about, where it's like that super bright colors with like puppets almost. They were like puppets that had like color pin or color book patterns on them with stitching, and they were like executing me on this platform. And the way they executed us was like they were zipping us up. They were zipping a zipper, and you just see it fade into black. And they're like super fucking happy, bro. They're like mocking me and like happy that they're doing this shit. They're just like, haha, I got your ass, boy. Like that type of energy. And I've never been that afraid of anything in my whole life. And I remember they zipped me back up, and then I just see. This was like 2 years before we graduated. Every trip I ever had on any drug after that, I'd close my eyes and I'd see fire and dead, like, skulls. I'm not even, like, that shit sounds like it's crazy, but, like, I swear to God, whenever I'd close my eyes, I would be afraid to close my eyes. And I woke up from that, like, coming back from that trip, the room, I guess, was, like, meshing with my trip. So, like, objects and things in his room would start meshing with it, and it was so intense that I had to walk out of his room hyperventilating afterwards. And they said, this is what Zane said. He said that I got out of the chair with my eyes closed and started crawling on the floor, running away from something. For real, bro. That's what he said I did during it. And bro, that shit was so powerful, it had me like looking like Da Vinci codes up. Like, what does this mean? There's got to be more to, like, it was that fucking crazy.
Nah, I feel like that's just like, I've heard a lot of things about salvia like that. In particular, I feel like it's just like the darker side of things in your mind, you know? Because you have to put it in perspective as like these certain psychedelics are gonna do certain things for you, like mushrooms and acid, two different kind of psychedelics, you know? You're gonna trip off of both of them, either one of those, but you're gonna have a different experience on each one. And specifically with like mushrooms, I've never done salvia, so I'm just comparing the two from what like your experience to what I've experienced myself. I've never experienced like fire and skulls and nothing like that. Like, I feel like a lot of that has to do because of the salvia trip, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
you feel me? Like,
I don't mean to like shit on psychedelics. Like, I ain't trying to do that. I've had like my last 3 trips were like good. Like, I had like peaceful moments where I'm just like watching my dog frolic in the grass, and I'm just like,
right.
I felt like Thanos, like after he destroyed the world, and I'm just like sitting there, I'm just like, oh god. And then like my last trip that I had, that shit was so crazy. I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast during it, like going inside and out of my house, and whenever I would sit down, it was like one of those protect the parks, and it was the only time I'd ever experienced this, but it was so intense that like, it's like, alright, I understand the purpose for psychedelics. I only did like fucking like 1.5 grams, 2 grams of mushrooms that were like 4 years old. I had them in like this memento box that I carried around. I was like, if I need these. But I had this effect where I was like reading their emotions. Like, it was the craziest thing. Like, I'd watch them speak, and it was like I could understand the dichotomy of the room. Like, alright, this person, the way he talks, he seems like he looks up to Joe Rogan, and I was like psychoanalyzing. I was like, all right, this guy tries to make a bunch of funny jokes because he's trying to make up for something, and then this guy's like kind of insecure. I could like read their insecurity and emotion. It was like really weird. I was like, felt like a fucking avatar plugging in the tail or something, dog.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's definitely a lot of good experiences I've had, and then there's like experiences where like I didn't necessarily want to have, you know,
It made you
that
like encounter something or like face it.
yeah, exactly. These are like things that I had been putting down, like digging deeper inside myself to try to like cope with reality in a way. I would like push these things, these traumatic events that happened throughout my life, like certain things that impacted me as a child or whatever. Like I feel like we we get blindsided with all this information and all these things, and we're not even like fully aware of what's actually happening to us as a kid until we're teenagers. We don't see what's going on around us, and then
Well, shit gets downplayed,
like boom,
and then you subdue
yeah,
it, and then you get. I mean, that shit
yep,
happened with me for like I joke about these experiences like, oh, that was like fucking terrifying and shit like that, but really I can look back and be like, all right, I was kind of a piece of shit at that time. I was just like subduing my mind with like fucking copious amounts of drugs just because I didn't want to deal with this shit and even like think about it. And maybe that was like the tool of psychedelics trying to like teach me that. But I was so deep into the fucking just like comfort and not wanting to think about it that I just like ignored it and was like, oh dude, I was tripping. I had a bad trip, dude. I just like kind of put a label on it almost.
yeah. That's something I've noticed as well with like the experiences. Like every time that I didn't like, I expected it to go a certain way, it always goes in another direction, you know? So that
Hmm.
has helped me grow with having no expectations for anything that you do, or if you don't expect things to turn out a certain way, you can't be disappointed whenever something that you didn't think would happen would happen.
It's like
You
the
have to be open to
ultimate.
new experiences.
It's the ultimate thing that you can't have like outcome dependence on. That's for sure. Like you just gotta let the fucking
Right.
teacher teach you a lesson, pretty much, or reward you if you're doing good. Like that's basically how it goes. At
Yeah.
least what I've seen.
Yeah, exactly.
What do
Yeah,
you
my
feel?
favorite
How do
one,
you?
my favorite psychedelic.
No, you go ahead. You
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna
I
just
was just
ask
saying
you.
my favorite psychedelic. Wait, wait.
Yeah, go ahead. You go. You go. You go, dog. You go, dog.
Okay, okay. My favorite psychedelic so far has been 2CB. I don't know if anybody out there has
I ain't never.
heard
That's
of
the
it.
one.
Have
That's
you
the
heard of
only
it?
one that I ain't done. I've heard of it and I've done research, but I just ain't done it.
That one's really good, bro. That
See
one's
that
really good.
whenever everybody I knew was fucking dabbling with that, I was in my like psychedelic. I had a seizure on the ground and I just got executed on salvia. I don't know if I want to touch something. Like I was in that zone during that time, so
Hmm.
I had the discipline to stay away. But what I was gonna ask you is, and I'll go back onto the 2CB because I am interested. What is your since you have more experience than me, what is your argument to the people who say that, oh, dude, psychedelics are just like, it's just a hallucination in your mind. That's just bullshit. It's just hokey pokey. Like the ones that don't
Oh,
fucking know, and they ain't never in experience. They're just like, oh, dude, you're just having a hallucination.
yeah. No, that's just like that's social programming that's been put into their minds from the jump. You know, with all the propaganda around psychedelics, like since the what was it, like the 60s? Was it
Mm-hmm.
60s, 70s? When like the whole acid era, the fucking, you know what I mean? The psychedelics really came into play. This is a little conspiracy right here. This is a conspiracy. Um, so they say that the government released LSD into the population, introduced it into the population to use it as mind control, because you can weaponize LSD like as a mind, like since it is a mind altering substance, and you've taken acid before. Anybody here who's watching knows exactly what we're talking about. like it's very easy to get like sucked into something that you're hearing, that you're seeing, that you're like if you're watching a movie on acid, you're gonna get sucked into that movie.
Bro.
And that's just like I feel like they tried to, and I don't feel like this, but this conspiracy is that the government weaponized it in that time era. It was 60s, 70s, and what happened was is people didn't like it didn't confine people. It started opening people's minds, and uh, I feel like since that era though, there has been like you have most of your people who are just like, yeah, no, that shit's bad for you. You're gonna jump out of a window. You're gonna fucking commit suicide if you take like, all right, bro.
I mean, a lot of
And then
people
if
are
you have,
more open to it, like now, but I see like it's more in like the hustle culture, like the real business side, because I digested a lot of that stuff in the past, and a lot of them they're like, hey dog, to like ease out, do the ayahuasca. I went on this that type of thing, but then there are I don't understand it that I still see people who are like so like grandstanded on, no, this shit is bad. It's fucking pointless. I see it a lot more from like atheist people because you do some fucking you have a crazy experience. It's so real that shit'll push your ass towards spirituality. I swear to God.
yeah, you don't got a choice, bro. You don't got a. I mean, what it does is it reacts on like I think it's like it opens up your pineal gland, which is what you know what we would call the third eye. You know, a lot of people see it as the third eye. That's what third eye is in a lot of cultures. When you take psychedelics, it like expands your perception. Like it doesn't like change your perception. It just expands like what you're able to understand and what you're able to see a lot more. And that's why we grow our spirituality because we understand that like you know there is more to the universe than just like
Yeah, it's the
fucking
question that's always there. That's always gonna be ruminating. Oh, one
right.
thing that I got interesting for you. Quick, I want to tell one more trip report. One time, me and Zane, goes on your point about how powerful it can be when you watch a movie. I invite him over. I'm like, hey dog, let's take a tab each and watch Lord of the Rings. We don't watch the fucking Two Towers. We don't watch Return of the King. We watch the first one where the fucking Nazgul are like chasing after Frodo, and you just see like them fucking come on the screen, and they're just like. I remember I'm sitting there, and it was one of the second most joyous moments I've ever experienced. Have you ever seen Lord of the Rings?
I think I've seen like one of them at least.
You
like,
gotta watch that shit. You get you and your girl and take some mushrooms and watch that shit, because this was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. There's a beginning scene in the Lord of the Rings where this whole Frodo, Gandalf comes to his town. He's sitting there, this real nerd shit. He's reading a book, and he hears fucking Gandalf. And it's like all these memories from his past with Gandalf come to him, and you just see this joyous expression. And he's running through the fucking woods and hops over this thing into his cart. And they just hug and they're rejoicing, bro. And they're just like, oh, joyous, just shit. And I remember me and Zane looked at each other, and we were just like, oh my, like, bro, it was just like the most like euphoric, not euphoric, but just like joyous feeling of like, holy shit, that was like awesome. That motherfucker, their experience that they just experienced. And then it was like funny. Gandalf would make like funny faces, and we just start laughing at that. But then,
right,
like it was controlling. This one movie controlled my emotions so much. Like the Nazgul would come, and like we had the lights were off when we were watching this shit because it was on a little monitor, and it felt like the room actually got darker and like scarier. And like I remember we paused it at one point. Fucking in high school, we're not getting scared of this shit. We're like 15, 16 years old, and it's a PG movie. But we're just like, holy shit. Like, it is like fucking crazy.
right.
I remember, bro, I ordered some pizza. I ate a whole fucking pizza by myself. I wouldn't even, it was like almost like I was like on fucking acid LSD, or fucking Adderall LSD or something, bro. I was just like hyper focused on the movie, and I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, and I was just like watching. Normally I don't eat on this shit, but I'm just like I was just so hyper focused, like I was in that fucking world, bro. That shit is crazy. But I keep going off on these tangents. I read this book recently, and I recommend this shit. This author's name is Philip K. Dick. He's from the 60s. He's the guy who made the idea for Blade Runner. He has these
Oh,
two
okay.
really popular books. His first book, the one based off of Blade Runner, is "Do Androids Dream of Robotic Sheep?" That's the first one. That's Blade Runner, what it's based off of, with like them trying to kill the humans and stuff. And then the second book that
Yeah.
I just bought and I read is called Counterclock World. It's crazy. I read it over a couple weeks, and this guy did this thing called the Hobart phase, where he completely reversed time. So like, instead of morticians and people dying and them being buried, there's a whole service where they like go around and they wait at graveyards for like people in the ground to make noise, and they dig them back up, and they like reverse age back to children. It's like some crazy shit. And then there's like these
Yo.
religious cult. Well, it's crazy. There's these religious cult leaders in there, and there's like this one organization where their whole purpose is to destroy all the old literature. They control it and everything, and they're like almost like what you would call as like the government, like the conspiracy thought of government, where they have like complete control. They kill people at will that fuck with them, and but there's this counter like they call them the zealots or something like that, and they're just like the religious cult leaders. Well, all of a sudden during this time, the main religious cult leader, who is supposed to be like fucking Malcolm X or something, like he's that big, everybody knew him. He's coming back to life. They're all fighting over his grave and shit. But this cult, they utilize LSD in this book as like a weapon almost. They use bombs. Like they'll break into buildings and they'll throw these bombs of LSD to like confuse everybody. And the way the time works in the book, they can like move at hyper speed with. It's crazy. And that shit made me instantly think about that book.
Huh. Well, what's the book called?
Counterclock World by Philip K. Dick. I just
Counterclock
got this
World.
like recommendation to start reading these like sci-fi books, and that shit is like crazy. And I made another realization while reading the book. If you like really really strongly read sci-fi book, I feel like that nothing impacts your creativity like that. Like the way you start having creative thoughts and all this shit, it's almost like medicine for that. Because you're just like reading this person's like complete unique take on something. Just completely unique. And almost like, you know how like whenever you read conspiracies, it's like super engaging. All that dopamine starts releasing and you're like engaged in it.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of see them reading them types of books.
I wonder if this thing charged. Hold on.
You be reading the Kindle books?
No, I haven't gotten any on this one, but I got
Is that a
this.
Kindle?
I got this. It's a Amazon Fire, I think. It's just like the same thing, just Amazon's brand. But I haven't gotten any books on it. But like when sometimes I prefer the paper, and the real book. But when you can't, when you got to get it on the thing, I guess you got to get it on the thing.
I've never read like a full fucking length book over my phone. I don't know. Something about me, I can't do it. I can focus whenever I put my phone on the fucking table over there and I'm like, alright dog, you got an hour. Get through this shit. Have fun with it and I can sink in. But I just can't do that on the phone.
Yeah, no, because like it's too distracting. It's too like, I don't know.
They trying to like
I feel like this
brainwash me. That blue light brainwash, boy.
Sheesh.
You got them bracelets where they're like, I saw these ones where it's like, this is a piece of sand from the fucking Red Sea, and this is a piece of water from like Mount Everest. Have you seen them? They're like the Earth one. I forgot.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Them some bitches, they charge like $150 for those fucking bracelets because they're like, this is like a fucking piece of rock out of like Mount Rushmore. It's like Jesus' tombstone shit. Fucking ass.
No, that's just tax as fuck for no reason. I paid $15 for this one right here. It's 2 rows and it's got like the pull strings on it with the little. They're all crystals. I paid $15 for this at a rave.
Since we on jewelry, what you feel? What's your take on materialism and uh, different things like that? Fancy clothes.
So, so for me, I feel like whenever I was a teenager, like I had the desire to want to get newer clothes and uh, wear all this fancy stuff, but I never had the opportunity to do so. So like it was just like always that like like oh, I want to buy this, I want to buy that, I want to do this, I want to do that because everybody else was doing it. I was watching what everybody else was doing, so I was like, for me, always it's never really been about the material items. Like anytime I try to make it about that, it just doesn't work out for me. Like I've seen it. I mean, I see it work for other people. Like I guess other people they they kind of just they can live like that. But for me personally, I can't live with material mindset because every time I do, the universe has its way of showing me, hey, bro, um, you can't be relying on this object to bring you like inner peace. You can't like if I destroy my car today, am I gonna be upset about it? Like, am I gonna like let it stop me from moving forward in life, or am I gonna let it like take that experience and use it to drive you to do other things? But with materialism in general, what were you gonna say? Sorry, I
I'm
feel like
like, I've
it's
been
just
just too goddamn poor to
laggy.
enjoy the materialism. Whenever I put my fucking clothes on, I feel weird going out in like some nice clothes. I'm just like, what the fuck? I feel like an imposter or something wearing like some fucking suits. I got two suits. I got some slacks. I got like a whole set of different like I collect watches. I mean I wear watches, but it's like jewelry and shit. I got this one. Let me grab this bitch.
Yeah, let me see. Let me
I
see.
got to flex it real quick. I got See, I don't know. I call myself like materialism bipolar. Like sometimes I'll be on like hey, I'm gonna wear my scrubs. I'm gonna be on my grind. I don't give a fuck what people think. And then sometimes I'm like, damn dog, you telling me that fucking like stopwatch or that pocket watch was like 200 years old from like fucking Billy Bob, whatever the fuck. Yeah, that shit got history to it. I gotta collect that. So I just got
For
like a lot
real.
of the shit I got has like sentimental value. Like this watch, this is about the only. I got some nice watches, but this is the only watch that I wear. It's got Spanish and shit like that. And I got it from like this closet from my dad's. I never even met the motherfucker, but he's like my dad's Mexican grandpa. And I was like, hey, that shit like cold. This motherfucker just like wore this shit around pimping. So I got that, and then I got like a couple gift watches, and then I used to wear that pinky ring, and that was like my first lesson in materialism. The first little inkling that made me start to be like, hey, this shit ain't all it's cracked up to be. I was bowling with all them motherfuckers down there, and like, I think we were in Clear Lake, and I was bowling, and that fucking pinky ring threw off my pinky. It was like an $800 pinky ring, and I didn't pay for it. I got that bitch as a gift, and I threw it off my
No.
I threw it off my fucking finger by accident, and it went down the bowling lane. And I was like, oh, I spent like 3 hours. I was like, I didn't have my car. I was keeping them all there. I was like, bro, we gotta look for this shit. We shut down like 3 lanes, and bro, we were walking up and down that bitch. So I was like, oh, bro. I tied my whole, like, almost like I tied my identity up in this pinky ring. I was like, bro, if I lose my fucking pinky ring, I'm gonna lose myself. and then,
Yeah.
and I don't know, that was my first taste. And I got better at it, and then I lost my whole fucking car to a car wreck. And then I just said, I struggled with, bro, that was how I knew I wasn't super materialistic. Because I got in that car crash, and my first thought was like, I remember I was sitting on a curb, the cops had dropped me off at a CVS, and I was just like sitting there on the curb like, I can't do nothing about it. Fuck it, dog. I'll give me another one. And then I don't know.
Right.
My relationship with that shit changed. At that time, I was super materialistic. I remember I bought a $200 suit, because I was making a bunch of money as a waiter. I just started buying like all this stupid shit for no fucking reason, and I don't even use it or wear it now. I've worn the same clothes I've had for like 2 years. Half the shit I wear around got like fucking paint on it or whatnot, and I drive that old fucking granny getter out there, that old Camry, and the only reason that I even desire material things like money or like fast cars, because like my ultimate plan, what I envision myself in my head in the future is like, hey dog, I'm gonna have like 10 mil, I'm gonna be chilling, I ain't gonna have to like worry about money. Of course I'm gonna have me a McLaren. Like that's the way I envision it. But then in my head,
Right.
it's like, I don't give a fuck about that. I find contentment where I'm at right now. I just want that because some fucking bald dude online with a Bugatti is like, hey dog, I'm fucking better than you, bitch. What's good? And I'm just like, that fucking gorilla
Right.
comes out of me. I'm just like, nah, I ain't gonna let this fucking egg get. I'm gonna get my shit, boy. And that's like the driving factor.
Right. That's totally accurate too. You know what they say though? They say, own your possessions, don't let your possessions own you. So, like, a lot of people, they use these things that they let these things control who they are, their personality. But, you know, it's okay to have material items around you, but, like, it's one thing to just, like, buy something just for the pure like enjoyment of having bought that thing, and you can utilize it. If you can use it, you know, and it can actually help benefit your life some way, then it's, you know, that's like, that goes as far as like just getting a bracelet. Like if you just want to buy a bracelet because, you know what I mean, that bracelet makes you feel good, do that, but don't let the like the consumerism and wanting to buy things, because a lot of people, they like to, it's not about the stuff itself providing them anything like it's internal, it's just about buying the stuff. That's the problem. They just want to buy it. They want to have
I'm gonna call that shit the Challenger effect, the Dodge Challenger effect. Remember, every single motherfucker want a Dodge Challenger. They just like, hey, that motherfucker got a Dodge Challenger. He like 20 years. I'm gonna give me a Dodge Challenger. What, you saying I only
the
gotta
Challenger
pay $800
effect, bro.
You saying I only gotta pay $800 a month and I can get a fucking Dodge Challenger? Shit, sign me up, boy. It's V6. Fuck it. Like, I swear, it just like,
it's good enough.
like, I don't even know where that comes from, because I always hear these old people, because I spend a lot of my time around older people most of my life, like my grandparents, their
Right.
friends, and I've always heard them say the statement, what did fuck? God damn it! I just had that shit on the tip of my fucking tongue. The clothes don't make the man. That's what they say.
I'm back.
Have you ever heard that? The clothes don't make the man.
The man what?
The clothes don't make the man.
The clothes don't make the man. Yeah.
I feel like that's like an older people thing, but
I mean,
hey,
it
that
applies
motherfucker
though.
He got a clean ass top hat. Fuck that motherfucker. His pocket watch and his penny loafers clean. Fuck him, dog. This, well, I don't know. That definitely, I wanted to bring that up today on the podcast, mainly because that's one of the biggest things I've been struggling with, is I'm doing all these different things towards a material end. Like, that is the end goal, is like money, is free from the matrix, you're a fucking slave. And we all, as young men, we've been fed this, and now we're just left with like a desperation in between trying to get it. Well, we're just like, fuck, dog. You can like taste that shit almost. You could taste. It's like, I guess this is what. No, I don't want to say that. But I guess this is what the slaves felt like. It's like right on the other end of their taste buds. The freedom's right there, dog.
Right.
that little bit of that crazy analogy, but.
Hey. Somebody
like
gonna see this and be like, that's
Fight
racist.
Club quote where he's like, what's the fuck? You ever seen Fight Club? And Brad Pitt, he's like, our Civil War isn't our Great Depression isn't a physical one. It's a spiritual one. And then he goes on. He's like, we buy shit that we don't. This like shit you see in like a Sigma compilation or like a motivational Instagram. They're just like, we buy shit that we don't need to impress people we don't like. We work jobs we hate to buy shit we don't need to impress people we don't like. And there's so
That's
many
facts.
tiers to it. It's like you could be content with like 3 good friends, your boys, but something in your head's like, hey dog, I want to have this bigger social group. I want to have all these different people. And it just goes with all the different aspects. It just comes back to greed, I think, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of it has to do with just the way we've been conditioned as a society to want certain things and to do certain things. It's not something that's like, and like it's not something that's just like biologically encoded inside of our minds. We're just being trained to do these things because, you can't have an economy without poor people, per se. There's a prince. I can't remember his name right now, or the time date, maybe like
Like the
back in
musician?
the a prince like
Oh, okay.
like
I know, I get what you're saying.
an agent in ancient Egypt. He walked through the town and he gave people money.
Oh, well, I know what you're talking about. Mustafa or some fucking weird name like that. It's like
Yeah,
it's
you
like
know
the
who I'm talking about.
richest. I've heard that story. That shit. And he bankrupted them
He
motherfuckers.
yeah, he giving out money to everybody and just bankrupted their economy. So the reason that they keep like they program people to do what they want is like, okay, if these motherfuckers are doing this how we want them to do this and they're doing it, then we can control things easier. But if people are like actually free inside their mind, they can't control anybody. Like once you're aware of it, they can't control you, Like how we're becoming more and more mature and we're like progressing as we become older, like we're actually able to think for ourselves rather than let something else think for us, like other people tell us where we should go and what we should do and how we should do it. And we are developing that inner self of where you should go and where I think this might be
I'd say
best.
I'd say that development is like we're breaking out of bondage. Because when you think about it, the desires have been programmed since we were a kid. If our desires are uniquely ours from ourselves, but you're a kid and they're like, all right, your desire is to go to school.
Right.
Your desire now is grades. That's your fucking desire. Is like the grades in school. And you go all the way through and they're like, all right, now what do you want to be? We're going to give you a little bit of choice here. We're going to give you a little choice. You get to pick from these desires. Doctor? Astronaut? Which one of them? You don't give me any other answer, dog. You pick from one of these fucking desires. And it's like programmed. And then now, as I guess it'd be like the age group from like 15 to like 25, maybe even just young men in general, you're given this like, you have to live up to this expectation of like success, and they give you this matrix. Your new desire
Right.
that has been programmed to you is escaping the matrix, when in reality the fucking matrix is the whole fucking world. It's this whole bullshit. The fucking flesh body that we're in, right? That's a fucking matrix. So I don't want to get off into my tangent, but that's a fucking matrix. I don't even know what the fuck this consciousness comes from, and they gonna sit here and try to tell all this shit. All I got is intuition to fucking know what is inside of here, and they gonna sit here and tell me all this bullshit. That's fucking matrix.
No, that's what it is, bro. It's just like this big scheme. It literally is a simulation. Like on a certain perception, you can see like the life that you can be free, and to be free is to be inside, free inside yourself, inside your mind. So when you don't allow things to dict, like these outside sources, these other people telling you like how society deems things are supposed to be done, if you break free from those constraints, you are free. You know, you are free from the matrix. That's what that freeing of the matrix. A lot of these people are just profiting off of using that word, but being
You're a
free from the
slave,
matrix to
Neo.
me, right, right. Being free of the matrix to me would be like just being whole, internally whole, and not allowing things to change the direction of my life, that like these things, these outside influences, like that aren't of what, like school, for example. Like I didn't do well in school. Like I dropped out of school at like junior year, beginning of junior year. I dropped out of high school, and it's just like because I could never retain the information that was being told to me, because my 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 brain was just like, nah, bro, this is not something that's
You weren't in no
beneficial for
flow
you.
state.
It's
You
not
weren't in no
crucial.
flow state in fucking algebra 3, boy.
Uh
You, you,
uh uh
you was sitting back there. I remember, bro, that's the craziest shit. I time skipped school. I use Subway Surfers. I time skip that bitch. I'd just be sitting back there. Oh shit, you saying I got a 39? Alright, let me do a little homework. At the very end of the year.
uh.
I ended up failing them bitches anyway, but fuck.
Hey, bro. For our minds, I feel like for everybody, but for particular for us two right now, I feel like we just don't have the capacity to do what the Matrix wants us to do. You know, we live outside of the standards of society, the society's standards, what they deem is proper, or these statistics that get put out about how, oh well, if you're from, you know, if you were born this way, you were raised this way, you're gonna come turn out to be this certain. Like, no, it's just like this fucking movie they put in our minds that just distract us from what's really going on, per se.
I got a question. I was thinking about this the other day. And then I think if you ready, we can wrap up pretty soon. But one thing I was thinking about was I really agree with the message of be yourself, and I feel the freest when I am being myself. Even though I have those views, I don't know if it's human nature or whatever. I still judge people. Like whatever's been put in my brain. I can be as unique as I can jump around on one fucking leg, scratch my head, rub my stomach, and it don't matter. It'd be me, whatever. But I still will see other people and be like, judge the fuck out of them motherfuckers. Just be like, God damn, what the fuck? I don't fuck with that. That's weird. That's cringe. Whatever the fuck. What do? You do that?
So I feel like um it I still get like that. Like it gets like, so that's like that one of those voices that you kind of have to like. So we get all these like these thoughts, right? These thoughts, I call them, people call them voices or whatever. They kind of like they kind of just overwhelm your mind. And since I've been maturing and growing, I've been able to dial back some of these things that just are not productive for my mind, which would be like that. For instance, I it'll like, I think that's part of the social programming as well as is the judgment, because judging one another creates disconnect between each other, and when you disconnect, you can't come together, you know. And two minds is stronger than one, you know. Three minds is stronger than, you know, if you were to be able to connect. Um, but for desires, like not desires, for what's it called,
Being yourself
for
or
judge, yeah, no, being
judge?
judgmental,
Yeah, yeah.
being judgmental, like I'll get like that little thought in my mind where I'll try, like it will come up, and I'll tell myself like that's kind of like goes against everything that you already like that you like. It's not like I'm not saying that on the spot, but like I've gotten to a point where I can identify the certain emotions I'm feeling and why I'm feeling them, and I can, if I, that's all it is. It's just practicing that, like you know that you have the ability to have these thoughts, but by not letting the thoughts consume you, you are able to grow wiser each time that experience, like those thoughts might come to your mind. And if you're able to be like, wait, hold up a second, that's not right. Each time you do that, you're training your mind that like, this is not how I want to look at things, You're training your mind not to be like negative. You're trying to, every time that comes up and you're like, you interrupt those thoughts with positive, like a positive energy flow. When you interrupt it, you each time it comes around, it's not nearly as like as strong, I could say, because you know how sometimes it's like the feeling is like a overwhelming feeling of like wanting to do a certain thing, or acting a certain way, or behaving in a certain manner, but like, and I would give in to those impulsive behaviors and actions like a year ago. I would give in to those things, but now I'm just like sitting from the outside. I'm like just like looking at it happen in front of me, and I'm able to pick between what's actually beneficial for me and what's detrimental for me. Like smoking weed, for example. Like I would whenever I would smoke, I was just smoking to escape something, bro. And then
Yeah.
like every time I would try to quit, I would run right back to it, first chance I got. And I was like, this is not a productive thing for me in
That's
general.
definitely a perspective that I do a lot, which is like asking myself if it's productive. Like arguments, like fuck. One for example is like, oh, did you hear that Chris from Mr. Beast is trans? It's like, I don't give a fuck, bro. He's like, go away.
Right.
It's like I don't really. But see, I contradict myself so much in my head, because it's just like part of me is like political, not super political, but in the sense where I'm just like, there's an old quote from Malcolm X that goes, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And it kind of just like explains that you have to have certain moral standings and certain views and opinions. And a lot of mine tend to fall like right leaning with certain things. Like I like tradition, but then I contradict myself, and it's like, well, then I like innovation at the same time. I like tradition. I like how like art, we all do this and gather in like tribes of people and communities and stuff. But then I also kind of like how Steve Jobs made the iPhone and we can all connect from like distant places. I combat myself with these things. And just like with the being yourself versus and still judging people, I feel like everyone benefits from being themselves. But be it ego or whatever in my brain, I still want everybody to have my parameters that I believe in. It's something weird. Not all the time. But it's like I'll see someone doing something that's real weird to me, and I'll just be like, come on, dog. That shit, like, I'm trying to think of an example to give without getting too political, because I don't really want this to be political, but I'm trying to think. Let's just say bringing children to like pride parades or something like that, or putting sexuality into children, something like that. It's a big divisive topic, right? My views lean
Right.
more where I believe like children should remain with their innocence. I believe children should have complete freedom. Actually, I don't think that you should try to imbue any sexuality to them, and also don't believe you should imbue any like programming or bullshit other things to them. But
Right.
and I find myself,
it's not just about the one particular thing. It's
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
like a spectrum of like.
it's a spectrum, and I find
Go ahead.
myself judging that and be like, "Oh, I just don't fucking agree with that." But then at the same time, and then it might even sparkle out. I have friends that are gay and stuff like that, but like the idea for me of like me sucking a dick, I'm just like, nah, dog, that ain't happening, dog. I find whenever if I picture myself sucking a dick in my mind, I'm just like, fuck no, dog. Like I go back to them I go back to them G County times, boy. I start going back to that. Like, nah, you ain't getting no dick from me, boy. We're gonna be fighting or something. But then some people, it's like you gotta accept it now, and I tussle with that. That's an example of like being yourself. I believe everybody should be themselves, but then morally, certain beliefs that I have and certain things, it's not that I think it's wrong. I mean, I would never fucking be on that camp, but I kind of fight those things. It's weird. I don't know. It's just a weird contradiction of a spectrum of things that I have, and I don't know where the birth in my mind of that is, but it's definitely something that I tackle with, and it all goes back to what you said at the end of the day, that we all, if you really want to be on your shit, son, I'm talking to everybody on this pod, you got to ask yourself, is this productive? Is this conducive to my goals? Is this going to be productive to me? These thinking. It's like mental masturbation. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Right.
all the philosophy and ideas and shit. Yeah. Alright, I understand how the fucking world works. I understand I gotta tie my shoes and fucking make my bed. Whatever, Jordan Peterson. But is this gonna be productive to what I'm doing? Like, okay, do I need to keep hearing it over and over and over again? It's not gonna be productive. I don't know.
Right.
There's
Like
I
like
really-
you can sorry,
no,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna go on some more
Okay.
tangent.
You can definitely you can hear a lot of useful information, but if you're not utilizing this information, then it's just noise, and it's just or reading like if you're just doing a bunch of useless things or hearing a bunch of useless things that disguise themselves as like better knowledge for you, and you don't. Yeah, this goes back to what I said that you were just saying about, is it productive thinking? Is it productive? Like, is this productive for me to think about this so much? Is this going to benefit me by like obsessing over this certain spirituality or this religion or this right here, or doing these things that like the implementing these things into everyday behavior to, if you know what I mean, like just like
I think
if you're not
a
just
lot of it comes from, a lot of it is we want rules. Now they might not be like the same type of rules you're thinking of, but we all want, like, there's not a fucking book when we're born. They hand us in our hand, we're like crying, and fucking cut our umbilical cord and mutilated your penis by circumcising.
hand us a book.
They don't hand you a book and it's like, hey dog, you're gonna be this age, you're gonna be doing this, you're gonna be doing that. They don't do that. But as a community, through programming, I don't know where the source of it is, we seem to always go back to rules and function best with rules. And whenever you think outside of the box or you have differing views than the norm, you tend to not align with a lot of the rules that you're given. Or the rules that are popular. So you start to look for outside sources or rules through like religion, spirituality things, militant approaches to things that give you structure in your life, which I don't know if you would necessarily classify them as good or bad, but it just kind of, we all seem to like a certain set of rules. And one rule that I find that is very important, that goes back to your thing about is this conducive to what I'm going after, is this productive, is I recently, and this has been a long time coming, developed a militant approach to inputs coming into my brain, what I allow. Same thing with food. It's like, you want to lose weight, you got to put your fucking foot down and be like, alright dog, I control what I put in my mouth. All these motherfuckers that want me to go out and eat lunch and shit like that, I can control what I put in my mouth. Even if they say something. You got to be that same way with the content
Right.
you digest. Because if you're not, and you're getting all these different contradictory points, and you're already contradicting yourself in the fucking head because you're mentally ill like I am, you're gonna be just like, like you're gonna have fucking like autism or something. It's too much information overload. They're coming for you. They're trying to program you. Get to the bunker. That's go Alex Jones on you.
For real, bro.
But I don't know. That's for me. I really only find myself digesting 3 forms of content nowadays: books, long form podcasts of certain topics I'm interested in. I don't know. I used to watch that like 7 ways to do this, 6 ways to do this, all this like fucking highly produced garbage shit just to take the money and attention from you because we live in an attention economy. Break that all down into long form things. All you people out there, that it'll greatly help. So books, that, and then certain movies. Now I'm not watching no fucking like Disney Channel Little Mermaid bullshit where they putting propaganda on your ass trying to brainwash you like fucking Plankton's chum bucket or something. But you gotta truly monitor it. Like if I'm gonna watch me like a Quentin Tarantino movie or a Martin Scorsese movie, something that's like purely art, then I allow myself. And on the topic of movies, going back into the topic of like controlling your inputs, a lot of the self-improvement communities, they talk about movies are bad. Don't do anything that's counterproductive. You gotta be taking action and grinding. If you're fucking watching things for inspiration, you're lying to yourself. It's cope. I believe that movies are I had this thought the other day, and I don't know how you feel about it. I feel like movies and certain visual media that does most of our senses. Eventually we'll be able to do touch and shit. But things like our sight, our hearing, and, I guess that's only fucking 2, so I don't know where I was going with that. But our sight and our hearing, it does multi-senses on a piece of art. It's not just like a picture. Maybe that is like the ultimate form of like an inspiration or a feeling, because unlike visual, unlike our physical meat body, it's something that we just like, unplug from this body, sit down on a couch sedentary, which most people would disagree with, and just like visualize and like imagine ourselves there. It's like a very powerful experience of art, where
it is.
They call it escapism, and sometimes when I'm wasting my time watching movies, I feel like I'm just doing escapism. You can overindulge, but it's like there's nothing like the ability to just be there. Like you're that fucking person in the movie. You're whatever in that movie that you want to be. And I kind of feel like there's positives to that. Whenever most people will say that it's like a time waste and shit, you got to find the balance. That's the end of it.
Finding a balance.
It all comes back to that.
The yin and yang, bro. Got the
fishes, boy. You gotta have, I'm trying to think of a blackfish. Moby Dick was white, right? You gotta enjoy Moby Dick and I don't even know where I'm going with that analogy. Alright, bro. I think we did pretty good on this podcast. We got into some pretty interesting topics. You got any final words?
Peace, love, unity, and respect.
Hey, go follow me on all my social
treat your
media,
neighbor.
Boys. Cameron J. Arthur on all social media. Go fuck with your boy.
Yup.
Peace out.
Peace out, y'all.
Stop. It's stopping.
Did it stop?
Hey, that son of a bitch was fire, my boy.
Shit was live. Nice little flow conversation.
Oh my god, see, we still flowing. We still flowing. I hit the pause button, we still flowing.
Yeah.
We gotta try to get someone else on there. That should be. I tried to get Zane, I was like, what the fuck you buy a webcam for, boy? Like, goddamn, you just gonna fucking sit there and look at yourself or something? He's just like, no, I'm not gonna get on the podcast. I'm not gonna get on the podcast.